do for yourself. What you think about you is more important. So, we talked about it. We resolved it. Just know, maybe things need to calm down. The Facebooking, the texting, constantly on the cell phone. I get on her as much as I can about that. Um, you know, the cell phone was really for communication for me to her when she's away from me. It was never to start a problem. And I know some of this had a lot to do with Facebook. So, in a few, I will be breaking down some types of bullying and what to look for if you suspect that your child is getting into fights more than usual or getting into fights, period. Because school is supposed to be an institution for learning. It never was the purpose of it for fighting and fashion and sexuality. It was about learning in an institutionalized situation, which means learning the things so you can survive in this life. It was an institution. They are building professionals, leaders, and all the rest of that. So there are 6 types of bullying. Number 1 is physical. Number 2 is verbal. Number 3 is relational. Number 4 is cyberbullying. Number 5 is sexual. And number 6 is prejudicial. I read an article online somewhere. Let me see. It's a site called www.verywell.com. And it talked a little bit about 6 types of bullying, because this is what led to the suspension. Because my daughter is not a troublemaker. She's pretty much a friendly girl, and that's one of the things I heard when I walked into the office and they figured out whose mom I was and things like that. They was like, oh no, we don't never see her turn up this way. So something else must have been going on. So they will investigate it even further. And that's what I appreciate. But we always should be investigating. We always should be looking out for kids that are in trouble with another child. If they're having too many, altercations, if they're walking around and they're not acting normal, it's very, for all teachers out there, because I've been one in early childhood, transitioning from adolescent to teenager. And then some daycares I worked at actually had teenagers there, 13, 14, 12, that transition right there. So maybe even 16, depending on the situation. But the physical is obvious because we all know about it. You or maybe someone has been bullied before. That's what you hear about the most. It gains power and control over targets. So it's a lot of pushing, it's a lot of shoving, it's a lot of bad mouthing, taking candy from them, looking through their book bags, unzipping the zipper, putting signs on the back. I know all about it because I was bullied in school because I was dark and I had short hair because something happened to me in kindergarten. So my bullying started in kindergarten. I had real long hair, naturally curly hair, and I had long ponytails. My mom had just did my hair the night before, and it was time for me to lay down for nap. Mind you, I had some girls that didn't like me for whatever reason, and they decided when the teacher walked out the room to go get something that they would take the teacher's scissors and cut off like 3 or 4 of my ponytails. So I went to sleep with long hair and woke up with short hair. That's kind of a physical example of bullying. And, like I said, most people recognize this form. But most people, they talk about it, but most people don't really deal with it. And it's really time to deal with it. Seriously. Thank you. The next one is verbal. The bullying is kind of with words, it's basically just talk. They're not touching you, and waited for her to get out of class and nice and politely punched her in the face. And then the fight began. So the attack was the social standing. Oh, you're not my friend anymore. Oh, you did me bogus, blah, 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 whatever it was. Then there's cyberbullying. Teens that use the internet and smartphones to harass, threaten, embarrass, or target other people. In a sense, as I look at these four that I just mentioned, I see this on Facebook a lot. That's the most place I see any type of bullying, as far as all ages. And then another social media that people get on to bully is on YouTube. From celebrities to local people to everyday walks of life. It's getting to a point where people are actually committing suicide or doing something that they're not supposed to be doing and ending up on the news because those kind of things triggers bad behavior. And then they also send harmful texts and emails, like threats, you know, just like I told you in that one show, somebody was putting a threat on my daughter's school for a bomb, or hurting somebody. 6 other students was involved, but, they all, came forward and admitted to it was a prank and blah, blah, blah. But those things have to be taken seriously. That's nothing to play with, and it's not funny. And then the thing about it is, which is the big problem with cyberbullying, it's hard to prevent or stop because it's a less risk of getting caught. And then we got sexual. And you already know the jokes, touching where it doesn't belong, talking about stuff that they did with a person, lied on them about, having sexual relations with them, laughing at their friends about their appearance, how attractive they are, how their body parts look, and make, stupid stuff, comments like slut and tramp and, all those other bad words that you can think of. Because it amazes me how many kids, how like disrespectful some of these kids are today, but you never know. And then finally, number 6, prejudicial, prejudice kind of bully, and they target race, nationality, and religion, and they single out based on clothing, language, and etc. And this is crucial. It starts hate crimes. And I just didn't have time to really look at the crimes based on bullying. But if you do want me to continue, please leave a comment below about this. And we can definitely talk about those types of things and how we as leaders can step in and stop this bullying. Or try to teach our kids that that's not the way to do things and handle problems or situations. So I'm going to read this short article about this in its entirety, just to confirm what we did talk about so far. I just wanted to make sure that everybody was on one accord with these types of bullying, because physical, cyber, and verbal aren't the only bullying that we deal with, and it's probably more, but this one stood out to me the most. So, on that note, 6 types of bullying every parent should know about by Sherry Gordon. Updated October 27, 2017. Please share this. It's on www.verywell.com. Researchers have been studying bullying for years. What they have discovered is that there is much more to bullying than meets the eye. For instance, many people once believed that bullying only consisted of physical bullying and name-calling. But when it comes to bullying, there are actually several types of bullying. In fact, there are 6 types of bullying, including everything from excluding and gossiping about people to making fun of their race or religion. What's more, not all bullies are the same. Every bully has a different style and uses different tactics to intimidate and control the victim. For instance, some kids that bully are very sly about how they attack their target, while others are downright mean. By being aware of not only the types of bullying, but also the types of bullies your child may encounter, you will be better equipped to help your child in any situation. Okay, come on. The 6th type of bullying. When most people think of bullying, they imagine boys punching, kicking, and hitting one another. But physical bullying is just one type of bullying that kids participate in. There are actually 6 primary types of bullying. Here's an overview of the 6 most common types of bullying found in schools. Physical bullying. Physical bullying is the most obvious form of bullying. It occurs when kids use actions to gain power and control over their targets. Physical bullies tend to be bigger, stronger, and more aggressive than their peers. Examples of physical bullying include kicking, hitting, punching, slapping, shoving, and other physical attacks. Unlike other forms of bullying, physical bullying is the easiest to identify. As a result, it is most likely what people think of when they think of bullying. Additionally, it has historically received more attention from schools than any other social forms of bullying. Verbal bullying. Perpetrators of verbal bullying use words, statements, and name-calling to gain power and control over a target. Typically, verbal bullies will use relentless insults to belittle, demean, and hurt another person. They choose their targets based on the way they look, act, or behave. It's also common for verbal bullies to target kids with special needs. Verbal bullying is often very difficult to identify because attacks almost always occur when adults aren't around. Additionally, many adults feel that things kids say don't impact others significantly. As a result, they usually tell the victim of bullying to ignore it. But researchers have shown that verbal bullying and name-calling has serious consequences and can leave deep emotional scars. Relational aggression. Relational aggression is a sneaky and insidious type of bullying that often goes unnoticed by parents and teachers. Sometimes referred to as emotional bullying, relational aggression is a type of social manipulation where tweens and teens try to hurt their peers or sabotage their social standing. Relational bullies often ostracize others from a group, spread rumors, manipulate situations, and break confidences. The goal behind a relationally aggressive bully is to increase their own social standing by controlling or bullying another person. Sounds like gang to me. In general, girls tend to use relational aggression more than boys, especially between 5th and 8th grade. As a result, girls who engage in relational aggression are also often called mean girls or frenemies. A teen or tween on the receiving end of the relational aggression is likely to be teased, insulted, ignored, excluded, and intimidated. Although relational aggression is common in middle school, it is not limited to tweens. In fact, some bullying bosses and other workplace bullies also engage in relational aggression. Cyberbullying. When a tween or a teen uses the internet, a smartphone, or other technology to harass, threaten, embarrass, or target another person, this is called cyberbullying. If an adult is involved in the harassment, this is called cyber harassment or cyber stalking. Examples of cyberbullying include posting hurtful images, making online threats, and sending hurtful emails or texts. Because teens and tweens are always plugged in, cyberbullying is a growing issue among young people. It is also becoming more widespread because bullies can harass their targets with much less risk of being caught. Cyberbullies often say things they do not have the courage to say face-to-face. Technology makes them feel anonymous, insulted, and detached from the situation. Consequently, online bullying is often mean and cruel. To the targets of cyberbullying, it feels invasive and never-ending. Bullies can get to them anytime and anywhere, often in the safety of their own home. As the result, the consequences of cyberbullying are significant. Sexual bullying. Sexual bullying consists of repeated, harmful, and humiliating actions that targets a person's sexuality. Examples include sexual name-calling, crude comments, vulgar gestures, uninvited touching, sexual propositioning, and pornographic materials. For example, a bully might make a crude statement about a girl's appearance, attractiveness, sexual development, or sexual activity. In extreme cases, sexual bullying opens the